Well, as you can see, I'm in the process of rebuilding this old Bombardier snow remove sidewalks, and I've always been intrigued because they're so fast and nimble, and they go around corners and turn around so easily. I've always been fascinated by the way they work. I've picked up two of them, and I'm decided that I'm going to rebuild them, one of them anyway. I've got another one here that you can see on the trailer, and I've dismantled it, the whole thing. It's a pretty solid looking vehicle. It's made of thick 1/4 inch or I think 3 1/8 thick steel. It's very solid. It has to be cleaned, and I'm going to paint it all up, check all the bearings, check all the wheels, and as you can see, as it's all been dismantled, it just looks basically like a metal tub, a bathtub. And the engine goes inside, and the cab sits on top. And anyway, now I'm ready to start cleaning it up and give it a primer paint and start rebuilding it up. Now this Bombardier, I'm busy dismantling it. I'm ready to take off the cab. I've taken off the trunk, and then it'll be all accessible to all the parts in the engine and all the hoses, because I'm going to be using this one for parts. As you can see, the other one, it's all been clean, chipped all the rust away off of it that's been loose, and give it a nice fresh coat of paint, and it looks a lot better than it did. And it'll be fun time starting to work on this thing and slowly start to dress it all up, put the engine inside, put the tracks, the wheels. Anyway, you'll see step by step every piece that I put on. And just here's a look at it on the inside, nice and clean. And put the wiring in there first. Anyway, that's the look of it right now. It looks a heck of a lot better than it did when I started. I've taken the engine out of this, we'll call this number 2 Bombardier. I've taken the engine off, and now I'm going to separate the transmission from the engine, and I'm going to wash the engine and clean it all up, and put the other transmission that was in the other one onto this engine. This is one of the old engines, and I've taken it apart because I had to loosen the crankshaft because all the connecting rods were disconnected, so I could turn the crankshaft to rotate the converter on this transmission. This transmission is going to be taken off because it works very well, and it's going to be united with the other engine, which I'm planning to put into the Bombardier. Now that I've had I took the transmission, I mounted it on this engine, and the motor's all cleaned up. And I'm waiting right now for a filter for the transmission. And once I get that, I think I'll get it in a day or two. Once I get that, I'm going to put the pan back on, put the filter back on, and then I'm going to be ready to put this engine into the tub, and then hook up all the linkages for the transmissions, which is on my bench right now, that I'm I'm freeing up because it's all rusted and jammed and not working right. But now I put a little heat on it and everything is working nice. And I'm going to lubricate it and paint it. I now have the motor in the machine, and I've hooked up the drive shaft to the differential, or the mechanism that drives the wheels, as you can see, and the handbrake is in place. Now the next part of this project is to, I call that dressing it up. That means doing the plumbing, like the radiator, mounting the radiator, and putting all the small hoses back and all the connections for the transmission, and doing all the electrical work. This takes a bit of time, and it's got to be done right, because when that's all done, then you turn the key and she should start real nice. But there, as you can see, there's a lot of dressing up to do. Putting on the alternator, the coil, all the wiring, all the tubing, and then I still have to do all the hydraulic system has to be installed. And so this is how far I've gotten so far. And anyway, the engine and transmission, everything is hooked up really nice, and it sits very well in there, and it's looking great so far, and I'm looking forward to continuing my project. Well, I've installed the hydraulic regulator and all the hoses, and as you can see, I've installed the oil filter. I've also, the big red thing is the gas tank. That's been installed, it's been cleaned and painted. The regulators for running the hydraulic system right here, that's all been installed. The shifter for the transmission, that's all ready and working well. And now the front part, or the back part we'll say, where the engine is, I'm installing the oil tank that holds all the hydraulic fluid system, and hooking up the pumps. After that, I'm working on another project, which is right here, is the muffler system. As you can see, that small piece that's in the front is the part I have left from the other. Everything else is rotten. So from these other pipes that I have, I'm going to chop them up and make a muffler system, taking only the parts that I need. This is like this sits on the radiator, and your fan sits inside of it. But as you can see, it's all rusted at the bottom. Both of them are rusted at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is cut them in half and take the solid, the good part of the metal that's still in good shape. On both of them, I'm going to cut off the rust, and I'm going to unite them and weld them and make one perfectly round fan cover. Okay, the fan cover's been welded together. The two halves, I've made the one decent one, and I've welded the muffler and put the flexible pipe in it so that there's movement, and I cleaned up the radiator and painted that, and this is the bracket that holds the radiator onto the frame of the machine, and soon I will install it just in front of the fan, and this provides a cooling system for the motor. Here I've mounted the radiator back where it should be, and right in front of the fan, which is going to draw the air through there, and you fill this thing with water and it cools down the engine. Yeah, I still have to hook up the hoses, which will be done. And on top of that, if you see here, there's two brackets and another radiator, which I'm going to mount in front of this one. And there's two hoses there, and those two hoses run to the automatic transmissions. So when it's working, it keeps the oil in the transmission cool. Okay, as you can see, I've got the engine, all the wiring put on there temporarily. I want to see if this thing is going to run. All the hoses are connected. Here's a makeshift muffler, which is just temporarily right now. And on this side, as you can see, I've got a small little gas tank, and it runs with gravity into the carburetor. And later on, I have an electric fuel pump which will be connected. But for now, we want to see if it's going to run. The wiring for the alternator is hooked up, and we want to see if the transmission functions, and we'll see. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Here, go ahead. Go on that side, and I'm going to start it. Back up a little bit. Okay, Modis.
Okay.
I'm going to squirt a little gas in the carburetor. I'm going to jump it with a wire.
Le moteur a bien marché. Bill est en train de checker toutes ses affaires. Elle regarde le sourire qu'il y a. Il y a un beau sourire. Le moteur running very good.
Okay. Today I've removed two of the wheels on this machine. This is the machine I use for parts, and I'm glad I have it because otherwise it would cost me a fortune. I've removed the wheels on this side, and as you can see, that pivots, which allows it to absorb the bumps or drifts of snow that are high and low. It'll move. Anyway, I need this shaft and the other side, and I'm going to be removing it, cleaning it, and I'll be mounting it on the other machine. At the same time, I got my pressure washer out and washed down the hood that covers the engine, and washed all the grease off, and I'm going to inspect it, see if there needs any repair or welding. I did the same thing with the cab, and I found a few spots that needs fixing, but it's all clean and all the grease is off of it. And some of the places that I've seen that I've got to fix is at the bottom of the door, the frame here. As you can see, it's pretty rusted. I'm going to change all that, and the bottom of the door, that's got to be all fixed. Anyway, that's what I've done today, and I'm going to put it all in my garage and let it dry, and start working on it tomorrow. These are the two sprockets that I just cleaned up and is going to be painted, and I'm working on the wheels, and they have to be cleaned and painted. All the bearings have to be greased. And as for the sprockets here, This is what drives your track. The track fits in there, and it drives the track around. And this fits in the front part of the machine. And so that will be installed very shortly. And the wheels are going to be put on the shafts here. You got 1, 2, 3 wheels, and the track goes around the outside of the wheel and around the sprocket when the sprocket's installed. Here are the sprockets that drive the track, and the one goes on this side of the machine and one goes on the other side. I've cleaned them up and painted them, taken all the rust off. I've done the same with all the wheels. They're all nicely cleaned and painted, and all the bearings are greased. And so now I'm going to install these wheels, and after I'm going to install the track that goes on the outside of the wheels, which drives the machine. As you can see, I got the track on the machine, and I'm very happy it's all done. It's really a tough job getting this thing on. It weighs a heck of a lot of, just the track itself is about 250 pounds, and each one of those wheels weigh about 60 pounds each. So it was quite an undertaking to assemble it. Luckily my daughter was here to visit me that day to help me out. Anyway, I'm glad it's done, and it's well, the cab's been all painted all around. It's looking pretty good, and I'm very happy with it. I gotta leave it outside for a couple of days to really let that paint dry well. I painted the outside of it, and I also painted the interior of it. As you can see, it's looking pretty nice, looking nice and fresh, and I'm very happy with it. And also painted the hood where it sits on the engine. I left a decal to show it's a Bombardier, and that turned out pretty well. Anyway, I hope in a few days I'm going to assemble the hood and the cab and put it on my machine and hook up the wiring. Okay, I finally got it running, and I'll show you it. I'm going to start it up. Yeah. Right. Well, the cab's installed now, and the cover for the motor. What's left is hooking up all the wiring, putting in a new windshield because this one's cracked, and putting on the holders that hold the hood down. And of course, I have the plow to assemble but first I have to inspect it, make sure it's in good working order. But anyway, it's starting to look like a decent machine right now, and we'll just keep on going. Now I have the plow all hooked up, and it's all been repaired. I've put some ends on it so you can establish when you get close to a building that you're getting very close to the edge of the plow, so you don't do any damaging. Anyway, here is, I'm going to give you a sample on how it works. It goes up and down, goes up and down, down and up. And what it also does is change the angle, as you can see. You see? So it doesn't just plow straight, but it can plow on an angle also. And what's left to do on this machine is install a heating system, which I have on the table, and as you can see, it's all rusted and it's in bad shape, and I have quite a bit of work here to do to get that going.